All right. Well, on that note, my clock reads 5:22 p.m. Atlantic time, Puerto Rico time, December 18th. And welcome back to the Puerto Rico Energy Forum. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Sam. Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad to
Good to see
be
you as
in
well.
almost the same time zone as you are these days. So short period.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we're recording this intro after the fact. We just had a great conversation with Tomás Rivera, which you're gonna hear momentarily. So we cover waste management in Puerto Rico, solar panels, waste to energy, some of the government challenges, and a pathway forward. Tomás leaves us with an optimistic note at the end. And enjoy.
Yeah, no. It's a good episode, guys. So we're I think you guys will enjoy it. It'll give you a lot of things to think about.
We do in Puerto Rico in terms of the disposal, because that's what we do. You know, the core of our business is disposal of materials that cannot be disposed in the island. Okay, because in Puerto Rico there's a scarcity to disposal options for regulated materials that cannot touch the landfills. So we have to export almost 95% of what we collect. You know, as I told you, we export over 50 million pounds of waste in a combination of electronics and chemical materials from the industry to the U.S. for treatment, for recycling, reuse, recovery, converting them on synthetic fuels and the fuels program, waste to energy, bio digestion, all the possible best solutions depending on the material. So that's what we do. But the tough cookies these days is solar panels. We have not achieved a degree of having, let's say, 100% recycling of solar panels.
Out Veolia's network.
Well, in France, that's what I was telling. You know, Veolia is a French company. I don't know if you know that. With headquarters in Paris, and Roses is in the south of France, and they have a joint venture with another company that they are almost have achieved. Is sort if in a trial R&D basis, they have achieved almost over percent so far of 80% of recycling. You know, they detach the aluminum frame for metallurgists, recyclers. They grind the glass that have the component, and they have different containers where they vibration and by density. They collect in one side the filaments pieces and the glass in another, and things like that. But have not been achieved. They are being very cautious so far to provide that to the U.S. market yet, or worldwide market. And I was telling Thomas that so far, the latest that I got as early as today, because we have a technical department which I consult for every option when I find a material that have to be disposed or in Arizona, we do the refurnishing. Panels that shows that can be fixed, or refurnished is made in Arizona, the Veolia site in Arizona. That's one option, which is the best. The other is landfill, decommission, because anyhow, it could be maybe 10 years from now, but it's coming. It's coming.
So, Tomas, in thinking about, because I think there's two things that I'm joining late, so I don't want to hijack the focus of the conversation so far. Mm-hmm. There's two things that I want to figure out. You know, you and I have talked a lot about what the role for, circular economy activities are in Puerto Rico. And so part of that is the end of life management of solar panels, which is something that the Puerto Rico Energy Forum has talked a lot about, thought a lot about, trying to figure out, how do we map out exactly where the island's role is in a complex environment. And that's in the waste management of any material, let alone a new material that's a complex like solar panels. I mean, we don't recycle throughout the U.S. nearly as much as I think we would otherwise want to. And that's not because of a lack of will. It's a lack of the economics sometimes associated with converting old material into new material. It's expensive. It requires a lot of energy. It requires facilities to do that. It requires a lot of feedstock, whole variety of challenges that have to be addressed. And at the end of the day, maybe it's easier and cheaper to just build new. So that's the comparative that we're competing against. And then the other side of the conversation, which we can get to in a little bit, which is, Veolia works on waste to energy projects all over the world. And it's a glaring hole in Puerto Rico's energy mix. And so I want to, at some point, when we conclude our conversation about solar panel management or electronic waste management and what Puerto Rico's role in that world is, shift to, okay, how do we actually address kind of the two-headed monster of the waste problem and the energy problem with solutions that are tried and proven in a lot of other marketplaces.
Mhm.
But so thinking about these solar panels, Tom and I have, done back of the envelope calculations. There's millions of solar panels on the island. We should anticipate millions more. It doesn't require, at some point it's a percentage game, 5%, 1%, 10% of 5 million solar panels is more than we can handle right now. And so, as far as you see it, what is the island's role in managing this waste challenge? Is it a logistics play? Is it what you guys are doing right now and sending
Well,
this waste to other markets, or is there a
Mhm.
more sophisticated, advanced role that PR can have in managing what is deeply pervasive? It's everywhere. It's going to be everywhere.
This is the way I see it. First of why I was telling Thomas that we didn't receive not many requests, almost I will say none, on solar panels disposal. Where they are, you see, because mostly, maybe possibly is how we are perceived by the market, mostly the chemical waste company, you see, not an electronic. We mostly deal, I have 150 customers, mostly pharmaceuticals in the island, and the waste that we collect from them is almost mostly chemical waste associated with the manufacturing process, right? Chemicals, solvents, all kind of things in all kind of volume. I even move on 10 trucks, many of that. And by default, by being present there in those pharmaceutical plants, we are approached to take care of the electronics like laptop, towers, cell phones, batteries, lithium batteries, and things like that. But not one single of them have approached us to take care of the solar panels. Possibly somebody like eCycling, somebody like RD, Reciclaje del Norte, maybe you know them, they are in Arecibo. Maybe those are electronics companies that are more perceived and electronics are taking care. But Veolia, my two facilities in Veolia, and my sales people and my marketing people and my customer service people has not been actively approached to what I know. Okay, for example, if Baxter call me and say, Tomas, take care of my panels, what do you do? So I have to tell what I have. In the store, I only have landfill, I only have incineration, or if the solar panel exhibit the characteristics to be refurnished, then I have those the only three options that I have. So, and I would like to join the bandwagon because I see there will be a lot. There will be a lot. By the other token, because I saw the videos of the French facility, and we are not talking a huge facility. We are talking something that can be done here, but provided, it have to be justified. I don't have an idea at all how many panels to be processes are in the island. Neither, I don't see what is going to be in the forthcoming years in order to establish a plant here. Let's see, a recycling plant. And first of all, I understand that we have to get almost a 98% recycling yield, and that is not happening. But my other way of thinking on the circular aspect is to design the panels in such a way without using the efficiency that are now characteristic. Design the panel in such a way that their components can be not easily, could be recycling more doable. I think to start from the drawing table as everything. For example, Volvo is building their cars or manufacturing their car that are 80% recyclables. Other companies are doing that. They are following the circular economy by starting from the design from the table. So I think that will be another approach. There are many fronts we have to work. That's the way I see it.
So maybe let's zoom out away from e-waste and away from Veolia's specific Puerto Rico or global operations and just think sort of philosophically about Puerto Rico's waste challenge.
Mm-hmm.
What is the bottleneck? What needs to happen for Puerto Rico to address its waste challenges? Is it a policy thing? Is it a regulation thing? Is it just the culture of having a recycling bin and knowing how to segregate your garbage from your recycling at the home? Is it led by corporates? How do we change the state of nature, which is seemingly deeply irresponsible when it comes to waste management? And maybe you disagree with the premise, but how do we
Well,
address what levers could we actually control?
the way, and I'm sorry to say this, the way I see it, every good project to be implemented in the island is affected by the political winds. See, back in 2005, we were Ogden Martin, was almost spent $3.5 million for a feasibility study for a waste to energy for the garbage in San Juan, because a new party came, they put in a drawer that project, right? Then came
energy answers.
Then came the energy answers.
Hugely expensive, hugely corrupt. Yeah.
And we need that in the island. I don't know why we not forget, people have the right to protest, but we have to continue to improve our infrastructure, you see? And because of our political system that every city hall, we have 78 municipalities, But by law, the municipality have to endorse a project. For example, energy answer have to be endorsed by the municipality of Arecibo for the city hall. The incinerator that Veolia was going to put for hazardous waste in the west side on the island for hazardous waste didn't flew because the people, uneducated people, that is the thing that people are wrongly educated, protest, and the city mayor say, I'm not going to endorse that because he wasn't looking for another term. So, those projects are tied up to the political aspect because people protest, with or without knowledge, you see, and nothing fly that way. You see, every infrastructure for the good of the people, there are some protests and people are very shy. Let's say governments are very shy. Okay. So I have lived that.
Let me push back on that if I can play devil's advocate for a second. There are 78 municipalities. If it doesn't work in Aguadilla, why not Isabela, Moca, San Sebastian?
Well, the thing is that
why not say, great, it requires government and we've got a lot of different governments. And so let's find someone.
Let me tell you what. When you're talking, environmental solutions for materials, to treat materials, there are some geographical, things like geographical, wind direction, population, location. EPA dictates what is called bubbles, and you cannot move indiscriminately. It's, for example, Peñuelas landfill. Why? You have seen the Peñuelas landfill, all the protests that's gone. You cannot move that landfill and put it in Maya West or put it in Arecibo because the soil in Peñuelas is the most perfect soil to have a landfill there for industrial, for industrial. So that's the thing, okay. And people are protesting, so they closed that Peñuelas landfill to the industry also. I am affected right now because, for example, Cooper, Edwards, Baxter use Veolia to take their waste, industrial non-has, and bringing to Peñuelas landfill. And people are protesting because blah, 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 for many reasons. And it is affecting me. So I am forced or either to take this to the honored landfill in Ponce, which have the right characteristics of soil also, or take those materials to the U.S., what I'm doing, increasing the cost of operation. Yeah. So all that is the thing that we have been facing for years and years in Puerto Rico. It's a shame because by now we should have our waste to energy plant and deal with the garbage problem that we have also.
So the government has issued an RFQ through the Public-Private Partnership Authority. It has since closed December 3rd, I suppose, I guess early this month, where they're requesting statements of qualification to provide 3,000 megawatts of firm power across the island. And it feels like for the first time since Energy Answers, there's been it's included in the document that waste to energy or waste conversion, depending on how it's framed, is an encouraged technology, in part because it's firm baseload power. So the authorities are, I don't know. I will finish that question in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, I would never put in an incineration plant. I mean, it's old technology, and it's not flexible, and it's not. You're getting far less for the value of the BTUs for the cost in the process. You're much better off.
And now there's gasification technology.
Sorry for that.
You're much better off at least taking it to a syngas and deciding what you do with it, because you could bottle it up and put it into the chain.
So let me jump back into this question, because there's the first time in what feels like since Energy Answers, there's a direct request for some type of waste conversion technology for explicit energy purposes. And Tom just made the point, which incineration is obviously one path, but there's way more valuable outputs in syngas production or gasification operations that can be implemented. Is that a viable path, or sort of we're also interested and we're just signaling our openness to everything? Is your crystal ball say that there would ever be a waste energy plant on the island?
Eventually have to, if we do not. Let's start this work.
That's a yes.
And I've been dealing with this for years and years with people, and nothing is being done, because I have meetings with the mayors, I have been meeting with Obras Públicas, to implement a real recovery recycling program in the municipalities for the communities. Let me tell you, whatever hits the landfill in Puerto Rico, 70% of that can be either reused, recycled.
Yeah.
10 to 15% could be composted, organic matters. All right. So what we are talking about, we have 70 times 15, you have 85% really of things that shouldn't touch a landfill forever. It shouldn't stay. So we really, if we have a good, robust recycling or segregation program in each municipality, we will not be having this problem we're having with our landfill arrested. Okay? So I think we should start by really having a good recycling municipality program. Like, for example, you go to Europe is behind us, not ahead of us on many things. You have your yellow container, you have your red container, and each day, I don't know why, where at least in Carolina, where I live, they have a recycling program, and Bayamón have one, and but not all the island.
Well, and I understand that San Lorenzo is the only municipality that's actually compliant with its recycling, with level recycling program. And I think my understanding is that is a result of mayor level creativity to lead an initiative. So you and I, when we first connected, we were talking about this with regards to tires, because there is a tire fund, to put it like that, where importers pay something for every tire they bring to the island, and that's to go into a fund that then supports companies that manage tire waste.
Right. And right
never
now
reaches the tire waste people at all, right? It never. So I love the sort of the nature of that, which is, if you're going to reduce the economic burden on the back end to incentivize recycling, you have to fund that some way. That is the one program we have that looks like that has failed to accomplish its goals even mildly when it comes to tires. Is that something that supports the economics in solar panel management? Is it in other waste management, recycling projects? Or is that model just proven as broken and we have to totally rethink how we...
Every of those initiatives works out, will be successful if there's a will. If there is the will of the municipalities and the government, really. Because let me tell you, I can tell you a story. I am nearby the tire recycling plant, the Chinese that came here. Is a Fomento building, and they were doing all right. And they were doing all right, but suddenly the government doesn't pay back because they are, this is the deal. For every tire you buy, you pay $2, right? And those $2 are for the recovery. And those $2 were supposed to get back to the grinder, okay? And didn't went. So what they want grinder do? They abandon and say, hey, why are we here spending,
Can't do business. Yeah.
We're a business to run. So both people and businesses were used to bring the tires there and go there right now. There's tires everywhere, all right, blocking the streets. That is in Juncos, okay? It's in a Fomento building right by there, okay? I don't know what the government do. They put a watchman, a guard, 24 hours to watch that people don't dump the tires there anymore. Okay, so it doesn't make business. The general manager from the plant say, no, I'm not paid by the government, and that's why I put all this machinery and all these employees and all these. Well, the building is from Fomento. Okay, so where the money goes?
So what does the alternative look like, Tomas?
For tires?
Or for any of this? I mean, tires is the one we have experience with.
If you're afraid to charge to the community or to the layman, okay, so then you subsidize, but do something or either charge. For example, we never in Puerto Rico has been charged. I've been living 75 years in this island, and for never we have been charged for the garbage. That's bad. I don't see that right. It's a service. Then people get it for granted. And now, let's say, how many years after now I'm gonna charge, but it's needed. Something have to be, funded with something. You see, so because maybe it's a drawback of campaign that you say
we in Puerto Rico pay high taxes. And don't get a lot of these government services up to date, and a lot of it goes into a general fund that doesn't get parsed out to specifically support these services, right? This is where I think, and I'm a major proponent of regionalization of services. We have either municipalities in charge of things they should not be in charge of, or a central government in charge of things they should not be in charge of. And in the middle, and I think that the waste management side is sort of the key example here. There's a regional role. There's a role for a regional government level to say, this is the waste station for the West. This is the waste station for the Northwest. This is the waste station for the metro area, or have several throughout the metro area, as opposed to delegating that at the municipal level, where you're not going to achieve the economies of scale. You don't have enough waste. You don't have the right facility. Moca needs an Aguadilla. Aguadilla needs the waste from Moca and San Sebastián and Isabel. And I'm picking on the Northwest just because we used it earlier. But same in Juncos, right? Juncos, Las Piedras, Humacao, right? That whole corridor. Does it make sense for them to partner with Caguas? Maybe. And then you don't need 78 of these facilities.
Right.
That's part of the challenge, though. And I think the will that you were talking about earlier is, who's going to say at either the level of the municipalities or the central government that we're gonna give up that responsibility and create another entity at the right level? I don't see it happening. And that's just on the waste collection or management side, let alone the conversion to energy, which is, at the end of the day, this is the Puerto Rico Energy Forum. We're thinking about energy. We're thinking about how do we address some of the key challenges that are facing the energy sector. And obviously, bringing in private capital that has the development experience to do a waste conversion project requires government sign-off. And it's one of the issues with most of the projects that never get off the ground in Puerto Rico is they need a government partner who's not willing to do anything.
Right. Veolia in Puerto Rico, we use a lot of energy, waste to energy. We ship, I will say, over 40% of my total portfolio of waste exportation is to waste to energy, and is working beautifully. We know those facilities is go Covanta. You know Covanta? Covanta is a large company that have many waste to energy facilities in the island. They are being acquired by General Electric right now, a couple of months ago, and now they changed the name to Reward. But if you go to those facilities and you look around, you looks like those facilities are not operating. There's no emissions. It's pristine. Everything's enclosure. They take care of the municipal waste of the population. In Niagara, in Florida, those plants waste to energies in the U.S. are working beautifully. Of course, they have to be near the water corpses because of the turbines needs cooling water in their condensers. That's why Energy Answer was a plant to be built by Caño Tiburones, to get water for cooling from the sea, from Islote. So, because I used to work in many power plants in the 70s, so I know the dynamics on power production. So I went there to those plants for audit them for my customers. All my customers, their non-hazmat materials are going to waste to energy. You're talking the big names here in Puerto Rico, in the pharma names. It works beautifully. It works beautifully. And I was very excited to have those plants here because it reduced the impact, the economical impact, just to let you know, because our situations of being an island, I would say that 40% of the dollar for each dollar that the customer pays me is in maritime in transportation and inland transportation, from point A to point C. Transportation here in Puerto Rico, and then go over water and then inland in the US to get to the final destination, to the waste to energy plant. You're talking 40% for every dollar. So by doing that in the island, it's going to be more economical for the pharmaceutical plants or for every manufacturing plant to dispose of their waste to energy candidates. So it's an incentive for the industry to stay here because their operation cost is going to be lower.
What's the right scale for an initial waste to energy plant in Puerto Rico based on the availability of waste and where the current technology is?
If we keep on doing what we were doing, producing how many thousands of tons of waste we are producing at a municipality level, I think it's about 10,000 tons a day, something like that. And that is because there is not a robust recycling program. If we keep that way, that possibly, because that is the cure, going by the root, are we really putting into place a real recovery, recycling, and composting program? Okay, but if we keep doing that the way we have been doing for years and not having a good segregation recycling program, so I will say that there is enough waste here to produce maybe 1,200 megawatts in one plant here by Arecibo and another by the east part, another. So we have plenty of ways to keep those plants running. You see, right now, how the scarcity right now to be 1,000 mega is what we need these days,
But you would never do that, right? I mean, it's first of all, the BTU value is much more impressive if you can take it to, oh my God, he's frozen again, isn't he? No, you want to go to syngas, right? And the problem or the benefit of that is you don't have to necessarily build one gigantic thing at a time. You could do it in trains rather than in plants, and the output can be immediately absorbed into the gas supply. You could even add a reformer on the back if you wanted to take syngas and create fuels. It's probably just as easy to use it as on island, effectively gas production. Small amount, but I mean, better to use it into mix it with natural gas or into fuel use or into with LPG or something else, with a cleanup. And then when you can store it, right? So you've stored energy is worth 3 to multiple times the value per BTU that it is to put it into a furnace or even a more complicated thing and create power, which once it's created, it's gone.
Of course, then you also have a diversified customer portfolio where you're not just selling it where you can produce it, but you're selling it to the industrials who may want cleaner gas or local supply or whatever it might be.
It's low carbon gas, right? I mean, effectively.
The cost is the key challenge there, right?
Yeah. But it shouldn't. I mean, again, you've got enough that in terms of volumes, if you can collect all the volumes, which we haven't talked about here, but I looked at years ago. I mean, there's there's a there's a mafia on the island that runs effectively trash collection, and that shouldn't become as a surprise to anybody. But that needs to be dealt with, as well as the politics and everything else.
Yeah, Thomas, I didn't, I had those same words that you say, but I was afraid to say it, but but it's the truth. Let me tell you, this is my experience with the mayors, because I've been trying, obras públicas, public works,
Yeah.
I've been trying for cities. I meet with the mayors or the incumbent of obras públicas and say, let's build a storage area for your community, because people wants to be responsible. People are responsible. People wants to take care of the spent paints that they have, the pesticides, the used oils, the herbicide that they have at home. People have conscious of that, you see. But companies like me cannot touch those communities because it's too much costly for them. Okay? All right. And so the people, the people that I met, I say, listen, make like some place where you can store the light bulbs or the fluorescent bulbs, or the people bring this here, and they, Veolia, give you a preference price for you, and you take that out of the landfills. Because if it comes a moment that you have that in your home for so long, eventually it's gonna end up in the trash can.
Yep.
And end up in the landfill. Oh yeah, sounds good, blah 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 blah. Nothing goes.
So what's the right way to convince municipal leaders in particular, though maybe this has to happen at the state level, but municipal leaders, I guess, to get started?
To make say so sort of law.
But is getting them on a plane and sending them to Tampa and seeing how, the city manages, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of
yes,
tons of waste a year, and turns it into reliable power for the city of Tampa?
Of
that
course.
As long as you allow their family members to come and fly them through Orlando, then
Thomas seems like knows very well.
I've done development. These are legitimate soft costs.
I mean, Tom's both the cynic and the realist. Yeah. So if, in closing here, what do people most misunderstand about how waste is managed in Puerto Rico, and what sort of is the pathway forward as you see it, or are we condemned to more of the same?
People wants to do things right, because let me tell you, I do a lot of workshops. I speak in universities, I speak in the communities. I do about 15 educational workshop or conference on circular economy and things like that. My last one was in the OSHA building about electronic recycling and all that, and to the population, to students. And I can say that 100% of the island members or people, they want to do things the right environmentally. They want to do things environmentally right. They have that in their back mind, but they don't see the opportunities or the infrastructure to comply with their requirement. And this is what I tell you about. Hey, Mr. Rivera, yesterday I have a call from a lady that have 2 cans of very old gasoline, to ship 2 cans, to ship Veolia. My price was to ship.
Yeah, I think 2 cans, you're better off using it as starter fuel to burn a bunch of leaves or something, right? I mean, you may not get an air permit, but it's, again, 2 cans.
For a beach fire or something.
Yeah. Or just dig a hole, pour it in, it'll burn down.
I talked with Ron Leonard today. That sounds like something he would do.
That's I talked to him yesterday.
He said,
yeah. So he's invested in a company that's doing compliant PV manufacturing to get the stuff.
Anyhow, it came out to $175 for 2 gallon jugs. Vision there, label it, put it in a drum, blah blah blah, all the 9 jars. And she said, "What?" You see, okay, and I'm giving her a
right.
I haven't heard from her, so
yeah. I mean, honest to God,
it's in the river or it's in the creek.
It's well, but it's not that different from lighter fluid, frankly, right? I mean, so
Right.
anything that you would start a barbecue with, it all kind of burns off in the first thing. 2 cans is not a truckload that you need to dispose.
Right.
And so
So
I don't even know if there are direct environmental regulations about, I mean, because you're burning it in an engine. So if you did some sort of an open burn, as I was saying while you were briefly off, is dig a hole
gasoline is a
dig a
different
hole in the
story.
ground, pour it in, light a match, and burn it off. And you're not going to have there's not enough of it to even trigger a phase 2 if somebody was looking at something on the land. Yeah, I mean, 2 cans is. But it
So,
highlights something else, right? Because the scale of some of this stuff in Puerto Rico distributed is very small, which makes it very expensive to manage that way.
Right.
Yeah.
so let me build on that. And going back to my original question, because of scale and because of these distributed waste issues, are we condemned to the waste challenges that we have right now, or is there a path out?
No, well, possibly yes, but I reject that. I'm a fighter of that since 1968. I'm an environmental by conviction. Since 1988, my first thesis in the Maya West Engineering College was on pollution, and EPA didn't exist by that time.
So you firmly reject Tom's pour the gas in the ground and light it on fire.
Using an example.
I have a farm. I have an organic farm, 15 acres by the rainforest, and I believe what I say.
So what's the path out of this? Goodwill, is that
Will.
what's the path?
It is will from the government. It's really have to put the municipality regulations that they have to support the community or obligate the community to take care of their waste or their local or the hazardous waste that they have at home. There are so many, and bring them to the municipality for collection of companies like us at not a premium price. It's going to be a very good pricing, but they have to budget for that. And I'm sure people are going to be happy because so far I understand people wants to do things right. But there's not the means or there's not the support, they're going to dump it. They're gonna, you're looking to a pesticide or a herbicide or
No, look, the priorities of poverty are very different. And it's increasingly difficult, when power prices are up and inflation and food prices are up, and people are struggling to justify paying for things that it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to make it an issue. I don't want to be the one as a politician or somebody to say, this not just, it's okay to say it's important, but to actually say we're going to do something about it. And this is going to cost us, even if as a community, something.
Right.
When we've got people arguing about where's my pension, and you've got other big funding priorities for the government, and even if individually, we're not talking about billions of dollars, it is still something that any elected politician is going to go, I don't want to touch that.
Right, because it's a campaign issue because, but I believe always that you should pay for the garbage. You should pay for that.
Yeah, well, people don't think they should pay for water, right? It's like, so
go and drink the water.
That's on the front end, right?
You know how much it costs to produce water, all the things that have to go through.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think we're talking about on the user side here, right? And making sure that there's a real, there's got to be a push from we're talking about it from the individual side, but and making sure that municipalities are educated and all that kind of stuff. I think the other key component of this, and I don't want to get too far afield here, but the folks that are going to come in and develop these projects also have to have the right incentives. When this fight with Luma is not doing anybody any favors to say we're a good environment to attract private capital that wants to deal with the government, that's going to require government partnerships, both from collection or tipping or getting it on showing up on taxes, or getting the permits. There's no goodwill from the government side to say we're actually serious about, having fertile ground for the investors that are coming to come in and build out 1,000 megawatts of waste energy, or 300 megawatts, or 25 megawatts. Like, all of that, if that requires government partner, and the government has shown itself to be a bad partner across a whole variety of issues, it's uphill battle. Does not seem to do justice to quite how hard some of these things are going to be.
Yep. That's why to some extent I am been servicing the private industry for almost 50 years.
Yeah.
You see, I've been servicing the private industry, but at least it's an environment that I can control to some extent and see things that work out. But that is the private industry. That is a university. That's a secluded area. Those are different words. Even they are members of the community. When I do trade shows, because I do trade shows inside those plants. I put a Veolia booth, and I do conference there to the employees, all of them, and to show. That's what I say, that I get the feedback that people wants to do the things right. You see.
Yeah.
But when I start with the government, I hardly in my portfolio of business is a minute portion what I do to the government, aside from paying me in 2 years and things like that.
Well, we at the Puerto Rico Energy Forum are major advocates for industry leadership in energy. It sounds like in waste management and employment, and being the tax base, and recognizing the critical role they play in Puerto Rico's development. And so, Tomás, perhaps that's the best optimistic note for us to end on, and say where you want things to happen is in the industry, in the private sector, and they have what seems like their head screwed on right. So I guess we'll leave it there. And let me just say thank you for joining us, and thank you for being a part of the Puerto Rico Energy Forum, and felicidades, muchas felicidades.
Felicidades, Tomás. It's been a pleasure. All the best. Prosper año nuevo, and anything I can do, to contribute, please do not hesitate to contact me.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate that. And I want to encourage everybody to check out the work that Tomás and his team at Veolia do, because they are at the forefront of this, not just in Puerto Rico, but globally. Tomás, one of the things that Tom and I have been talking about for a while is, this really trying to understand what Puerto Rico's role in the circular economy is. I know that you and I had these conversations, particularly with New Lab and others. And so let's put that on the calendar generally for the next year, of trying to deliver a coherent strategy.
Right.
Tease out some of these priorities and some of the bottlenecks, and try to get over them.
Personally, I'm a member from the Helen MacArthur Foundation on circular economy, and all year round I do circular economy speeches to the industry. You see, of the things that are discussed in those forums are being adopted or are in the process on the making, but I'm talking industry, pharma, things like that. But I would like to see that in the communities, in the government itself, to adopt that type of culture of circularity. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I look forward to working with you, and great talking to you again.
Yes, my pleasure. Have a good night, gentlemen.
You too.
Adios.
Adios.